It is Mario and Luigi's 20th anniversary, and this year I wanted to celebrate it in big ways by having big videos dedicated to the series. And of course, one of the videos that I cannot stop doing because they're so much fun are boss rankings. And of course, if we're going to do boss rankings of this entire series, we have to start at the beginning, and maybe at the very end we will collab and bring all of them together for an ultimate boss ranking through all of the games. Yeah, it's a lot because we are starting off with Superstar Saga, which has 27 different bosses within this game, which is a lot, but we are going to go through and see which is the worst boss and which is the best boss as we rank all 27 of them. So if you're excited about this video and want to show love to the Mario and Luigi series for their 20th anniversary, make sure you stop what you're doing right now, put your phone down, pull your finger out, and make sure you click the like button and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Mario and Luigi this year. It's going to be a fun ride. So without further ado, let's jump into our boss ranking in Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
To go!
For number 27, starting off the list as the worst boss in the game, we have the very first Bowser boss battle. Now of course this is going to be the worst because it's made to be a tutorial of how to play the game, but with that said, it is an extremely easy boss fight and you only play as Mario, where all you have to do is jump and then jump on him. It's that simple, it's just teaching you how the game plays. Next up we have Fawful. Fawful by himself isn't that great of a boss battle, it's just him trying to steal things from you. He'll occasionally walk up to the bros and all you have to do is hit him with a hammer and he goes back to his spot. That simple. The only real attack that he has is he opened up his sack bag and just throws random things at the bros, including power-ups and items, so it kind of helps them in their way. All you have to do is jump over the things that you don't want and catch the things that you do. But overall, this boss battle is pretty basic. All he does is try to steal things from you the entire battle. It's not that interesting. The reason I put Fawful over Fawful here is because Fawful actually has a really cool aesthetic boss fight. It's very early in the game, but it's also really cool to get used to fighting with both Mario and Luigi and learning attack patterns, which is really cool how he speaks certain things. You have to learn what it means and how to dodge them while on top of this airship at night and Bowser's just knocked out in the background. It has flair, it has personality, and there's a lot of stuff going on in this boss fight. Even though it's really early in the game and really easy, it's still really interesting. Roy is one of the Koopalings you fight at the very end of the game in Bowser's castle, but he's not that interesting compared to the others. He has his bomb clock beside him and it goes off after 9 turns, but it's 9 turns and you're at the end of the game, which means you should be as powered up as you possibly can be right now, and there's no way it's going to take you that long. The only interesting thing about Roy is his fire attack because he can shoot it in the air or off the ground and you have to be ready for that, but that's really all Roy can do. There's nothing else going on, and that bomb clock being at 9 is just so long. There is no reason for it to even be there. It doesn't even stress you out really throughout the battle, which is just like, why? At number 23, we have Dragahoho, which is actually the final boss of the first area, which is very important. You would expect this to be a big boss battle. You trek your way all the way up this mountain, and in order to find this giant dragon that everybody's talking about, it's Prince Peasley that's turned into a vile beast. But this is what you get. A short, chunky dragon with a little beard. What? Look, it's definitely not a horrible boss battle, but it's just weird, especially at the end of the chapter. This is what we fight. It's shooting these extremely slow fireballs that you jump over, and one of its only techniques is it puts down these giant dinosaur eggs for it to step on, and you'll have to break them if they get too tall because they will hit the bros and there's nothing you can do to get around them. So that's really about it. I don't understand it. It's just weird. Morton isn't very interesting of one of the Koopalings to fight, but the thing that keeps you on your toes with this boss battle is that he attacks multiple times, and he can slam on the ground like literally 4 to 5 times, and you'll just have to be ready for all the attacks. That's really all Morton does for the most part. However, the more you attack him, the more you can unlock his rage, which will spark him to do more attacks in a row, up to 4 to 5 different attacks by slamming on the ground, which has to keep you up pace, because the slams will also have different speeds as well. Lemmy's main attack is duplicating himself and spinning around the stage, but he spins so slow you can obviously tell which one's him every single time, and this duplication attack isn't something new. We've actually seen it throughout the game, literally the entire game, so that's what makes it kind of not that special this time around. It's still cool to fight at the very end of the game and have the different Lemmys, and I think it fits his personality well as this little kid that likes to play around and spin around, but for the most part, there's just not a lot here, and it just doesn't do a lot for me. Hermie the Third is an old man Man hermit crab that sits in a shell that looks like a Christmas tree with a piece of a star on top of its head. Now, what you have to do here is pretty much just keep attacking him and preventing him from healing himself, which you can't really prevent it. That's the thing about this boss battle. It just decides to heal itself and charge up healing powers between the battle, and there's nothing you can do. He just jumps into a shell and heals up or gains defense. The only attacks that it has is its claw grab, where you jump over them, and some toxic bubbles, but it does have a unique element to it. Once you break one of his hands and he kind of gets it bandaged up, he'll go into his shell and hiding, and you can actually burn him out of it, which is really cool, and it uses a status effect of Mario's firebrand hand in order to bring him out, which I really like. Number 19, we have Mom Piranha. Mom Piranha is this giant piranha plant mom thing, and it also has babies in front of it, adding more enemies to the boss field. Now, what's interesting about this boss is it has elemental attributes to it, which means if it turns to the red color, you can't use Mario's firebrand hand, and if it turns to the blue color, you can't use Luigi's electric hand, which will actually heal it if you use the same color. Same with the babies in front of her as well. They can also attack, and she can attack at the same time, shooting a massive ball of energy out, which is really cool that there's a lot of enemies on the playing field for a boss. Not to mention her babies can heal her, so you might want to take them down first. There's a lot going on in this battle, and it's actually not terrible for a pop-up boss battle that came out of nowhere in this game. I really like Tolstar because the personality is so great at the very beginning of the game, and it might be an easy boss battle, but it has a great personality and flow to the boss battle. Once again, it's one of those bosses that doesn't necessarily have visual cues with its body language, but actually uses language to show those cues. He'll say specific phrases and sayings that you have to pay attention to see who he's going to attack and what type of attack he's going to do, which I love, and it actually changes up how the game works, and I wish there was more of this in the game, even though there really isn't. Next up, we go back to the Koopalings for Iggy. Now, Iggy doesn't have a whole lot going on here either, and his main attack feels pointless to me, even though it's trying to be unique. It's something different that we haven't seen in the entire game. Iggy's special ability is he's able to actually change the stats of the bros in different categories. For instance, he might change the defense for both of them and swap the offense, or swap the speeds or stash of them, but the problem is you're always going to fight with both Mario and Luigi before they attack, so it's just like, what's the point when you're either way going to use one of those bros, just swapping the attacks? You know what I mean? I don't know. I didn't find it to be a big difference, but the attack range of Iggy is actually pretty good. He has like a spin attack that you have to keep hitting him with a hammer, and he can also get dizzy and follow up an attack with a rage, as he literally just gets mad and chases one of the bros after his attack, and I love it. Hoo Roast is also at the very beginning of the game, but I love how they handled this boss fight. It teaches you in this boss fight that you can't just always attack the main enemy. You might have to take out other side enemies or items on the stage in order to take out the boss. For instance, it goes underneath one of the pillars, and your first playthrough will be to initially break the pillar that it goes underneath, but you'll realize that it will switch pillars in between rounds, which means you'll have to break the one on the opposite side. This is a super unique concept, and after a couple tries you'll get it right, but it's just interesting, and it shows you how to think ahead of the battle. Instead of just shooting or hitting things that you see, you might have to think of things that you don't see. Now, the only attack that it really has is some laser shots out of its eyes, but for the most part, that's really about it. And it huffs and puffs in a weird way. I don't like that mouth. Looks like me trying to eat a pizza roll straight out the oven. Larry has all the different elements from the different Koopalings, but he also has a bomb timer, and this time it's halved from the 10 that Roy had to 5, which means you actually have to go fast, and if you get hit by one of his attacks, which could be easy, you may not have time to heal, which means you have to be very precise with your counter attacks against Larry. One of his main attacks is hitting fireballs back and forth with his tennis racket, which I really like this back and forth action, and it keeps you engaged during the attack. This is a really good middle of the road boss fight in this game. Next up, we have an extremely unlikely duo with Popple and Birdo. They kind of just threw Birdo in this game randomly in Teehee Valley, which was very interesting, but she is Popple's new minion after he's dropped Bowser, which is very interesting, and they are okay. I think it's just more interesting that you're fighting Birdo than anything in this battle, because it's pretty much the same exact attacks that Popple does. For instance, Popple runs up to you, you hit him with a hammer. Birdo tries to suck you in, you hit her with a hammer. It's kind of the same thing, and she also has an attack where she can shoot explosive eggs at you that you have to hop over, but for the most part, that's really all the battle is. It's still just interesting just to have Birdo on the battlefield. I think that's why I like it so much. It's so random and so weird. I really like it. Please do not begin to ask me why I put Piranha Bean at number 13. It's just weird to me that Luigi went out on this journey by himself to help Mario, and I love that concept, and the fact that Luigi had to fight a somewhat boss battle by himself in order to help Mario to get this special fruit in order to heal him. I love it, and you track this thing down for a whole chapter, and eventually you get to fight it, and it's just Luigi 1v1ing a piranha plant creature. I like it. You know, there's some very basic attacks that you have to dodge, but it's just a really cool concept to just have Luigi fighting a boss. And he also shoots a bean resonant at you for some reason. Why? I don't know, but it's hilarious. Next up, we have probably everybody's favorite boss battle in this game, Fawful and Rookie, because the music is phenomenal, and also it's Bowser in a disguise, and he doesn't even know who he is. It's hilarious. But yeah, Fawful and Rookie are the duo 2v2 here, which I love these type of battles because Mario and Luigi is already a team. I love to see other teams go against Mario and Luigi. But Bowser acts like a giant hammer bro, throwing giant hammers at you, and Fawful still tries to rob you for the 100th time. I also really like how if you hurt Fawful, he'll get angry, and also Rookie will get angry as well and throw hammers at the bros again before it's even his turn. You also fight them a second time in Woohoo University, and it's hilarious because before the battle even starts, they all like mutually agreed to move the Beanstar out the way before they fight, and then they just start scrapping, which is hilarious. I really like these two, and it's really their charming personalities as their attacks aren't that special. I know there's like a bros attack they can do where Bowser picks up Fawful and slams him on the ground for a shockwave, but I couldn't find like any footage of it anywhere, and I remember I've only seen it like one time ever. It's like a very rare attack, so I wish they had more like bros attacks like Mario and Luigi, but it's still a great battle. Next up we have Trunkle, and Trunkle has a lot of variety in his attacks. There's one where you have to be ready to go and jump on the spot when things are flying towards you or when he's shooting rocks out of his hand. I love how he rolls his fist across the ground at you as he spins his arm. It's a great animation. And also you have to be ready to pay close attention because he also duplicates himself into many baby Trunkles, but there's only one that actually has an orange in their mouth, and you just have to keep paying attention throughout the battle to make sure you know which one you're dealing damage to. Now we are down to our final 10 boss battles. In number 10, we have Queen Bean. This is also an earlier boss battle, but I love unique ways to take out bosses. And this one is also very unique. You have to take out both of her muscular arms in order to weaken her so that way you can jump on her head as well. Now, with her massive arms, she can shoot shockwaves across the ground, and without the arms, she also shoots like beans out of her mouth. Disgusting, I know. But you also have to make sure that you keep her at a distance or she'll be too close where her attacks will automatically hit you. You have to also hit her with a hammer to back her up to the back of the room and make sure that you also have good spacing and also are taking out her arms in the process. I really love this. The Chuckulator is one of the most weirdest, strangest boss battles I have ever seen in my life. And that's why it's so high up here, because it's so stupid. So apparently the way to make Chicola, which is the soda of this world, better is to tell it jokes. And the one that's telling it jokes is this old man bean guy named Bubbles, and he tells him jokes in order to, you know, make him stronger and make him fight better. And he also is able to actually heal him mid-battle by spinning into the arena and telling him a joke. I kid you not. It is seriously the goofiest thing I've ever seen, and it makes me laugh every single time I fight this boss. But in its normal primal state, this thing actually has a lot of different attacks. In order to start dealing damage, you have to break its shield, which then allows you to start attacking its body. But then its right arm turns into a hand cannon, which has a gun and a sword, and it's able to use both of these attacks at you, which is super cool. This boss has great humor, and it's actually a really fun boss battle to fight. It's just awesome. I love the scenery and everything about this. They did a really good job with this one. At number 8, we have Wiggler. Now, Wiggler will appear a lot throughout the Mario and Luigi series because the bros are always messing with this poor guy. But I like the way they take this boss battle. This time, you're not just attacking one boss, you're actually attacking different segments of him. And it's your job to turn all the red colors back to yellow in order for you to deal massive amounts of damage. So that means when you're even trying to dodge one of his attacks and he runs underneath you, if you jump and land on a specific segment, it will change colors. Which means you'll have to be on your toes and make sure you know which segment you're trying to jump on in order to change the right colors. I really like Wiggler because it's not about just going ham on a boss, you have to calculate your attacks carefully. For number 7, we have Cackletta. I love fighting the final boss of the game early in the game in the first phase to see exactly how it works. It's also funny to see Fawful get kind of slammed into the ground by Luigi. She both starts and ends the fight in like Giga Cackletta mode, where you have to jump over these portals and she's this big scary monster as they're forming on the ground, which is just kind of a crazy way to start the battle, but she doesn't do it again until she's about to be finished at the very end. She has pretty basic attacks, but they range from things that you'll see all over the game. For instance, you'll see her duplicate herself in multiple different versions, and if you hit the wrong one, she'll turn into little bats and start attacking the bros. And also she has lightning strikes that come out of her cloak, which is pretty cool. And like I said, at the very end of the match, she will once again turn into Giga Cackletta and start throwing portals and start raging and going crazy all over the stage. Coming in at number 6, we have Jajora and Friends. So you actually get to pick which friend it is, and it's only the difference based on the name. The name is just different references based on different types of laughs. But anyways, you get to pretty much, in a way, build her friend that she chooses to fight against you, which is a cool little concept. I wish they would have took this a little bit further and actually had you design the way the boss actually would fight. But I see what they were trying to do here, and I like it. So they both will try to defend each other if you hurt any of them and attack immediately. But there is a weakness with the friend, because depending on the version that's out, you can use different attacks to do different status effects to them. If it has yellow hair, use the fire attacks. If it has red hair, use the electric attacks. And just like that, you have another elemental battle, which I really love. You can also smack the wand right out of Jajora's hand, and it will fly off in the background, and she'll have to go chase after it, which is pretty funny, leaving you to battle the friend all alone. And it's funny how the friend changes form. It just puts on makeup and then changes the hair to red. Like literally, she takes the makeup palette and just slams it on her face. She'll also occasionally try to grab you, and she also has some TikTok moves of her own. We are now down to the final 5, and coming at number 5 we have Wendy. Wendy is one of the better Koopalings because she actually takes elements from every single Koopaling and has tons of attacks that reference them. She can spin around the stage, she can duplicate herself, she also has a bomb timer with a high time, but it's still a bomb timer, and she has pretty much everything else. She also has her own ability, which she can throw rings around the bros, and you have to jump over in a specific order based on the copies that threw them, which makes you have to pay close attention to what's going on. This is one of those battles where once again you have to take very minimal hits because you don't have time to heal, and you have to pay close attention to what the boss is doing. I really like Wendy. Ludwig is by far the best Koopaling boss battle, and let me explain why. You don't even have to attack him. All you're doing is playing extreme defense for about 20 seconds, which is super cool though, because it's a win or lose situation and he knows it. He says, I'm not even going to give you time to attack, I'm giving you everything I got off the rip. So you can either get completely devastated and lose the battle within 20 seconds, or you can win it within 20 seconds. And I love that concept. It really takes the saying the best defense leads to offense to literal terms, because you literally just play defense, but it's done in such an immaculate way. And I would argue it might be the inspiration to the ghost of the Elder Queen Shrew from Mario and Luigi Partners in Time boss battle. I'm just saying. Coming in at number 3, we have Fawful 2 at the end of the game. This time Fawful's got him a nice little suit, and he sees it almost as a show, like he's putting on a show for people. And I really like this because you start to see his character come out, and you start to see things that's leading into that Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside story game, because you can see he's starting to get into making robotics, and you start to see a story unfold. And I think that's why I like this boss so much, is he's starting to become his own character. But he's got this giant machine that's able to shoot out all these different attacks that the bros have to dodge, such as laser eye beams and also electric orbs that spin around it, but eventually it'll overheat, and you can even cause it to overheat by hitting it with fire elemental attacks, which will then pop Fawful out, allowing you to actually attack him, which is a pretty cool concept, once again dealing with elemental attacks and also damaging something that's separate than the boss. He also has different attacks that are based on the dialogue that he gives, highlighting the color of what bro he's about to attack, which is a really cool concept. I love how Fawful's not only worried about defeating the bros, but all of his attacks are also in like a stylish manner, like he's putting on a show for a crowd, when really no one's watching. Coming in at number 2, we have Bowletta. Now this one may not be the best one for the eyes, but it's definitely an interesting final boss fight, or at least phase 1 of the final boss fight. Bowletta is pretty much Cacletta's soul within Bowser, and it has different elements of Bowser that's just infused with different attacks that we've never seen before. For instance, it'll shoot fireballs that also turn into fire stones that sit on the floor, but you'll have to hurry up and take these out or it will heal itself. Bowletta can also shoot different types of star meteorites from the sky, and it's really hard to pick up until the second it hits the screen, which makes you have to sit on your toes and be ready for anything. There's also a really cool attack where Bowletta will place blocks above the bros' heads where they will have to hurry up and break them before shooting a massive flame at them, and they'll both have to jump over it. This boss fight plays its role well as a quick little part 1 before the part 2 enters the arena, and of course, we already know it's number 1. And coming in at number 1, we have Cacletta's Soul. This is without a doubt the best boss fight in the game. They definitely ended the game on a high note, and the original game just made this 25 times harder though, because when you start the fight, it doesn't allow you to heal in the original game. You actually have to dodge a barrage of attacks in order to continue, which means you'll probably be getting a lot of quick game overs. But Cacletta's attacks are brutal. It has one where you have to stare at her eyeballs to see which laser she's going to shoot where, and it also will freeze time so you have to jump at the perfect time. She also will use different elemental attacks depending on her hands, just like the bros' elemental attacks. Her right hand sends an electric shock at one of the bros where they'll have to volley it back and forth. She'll also reach out with both arms to grab you, and her firearm on the left will also shoot different flame attacks at the bros. And there's still like 3 or 4 more attacks that she can do, and it's just absolutely crazy how much stuff goes into this boss battle. And then to defeat Cackletta, you have to take out both of her arms, then her head, and then eventually her soul's heart will open up, because that makes sense. But then you have to take out the heart, which means you'll only get 1 or 2 turns to do so, so you have to wail on it very quickly before all her body parts appear once again. Cackletta's soul is a no-joke challenge with a great environmental background and atmosphere during the actual battle itself, and it's a great climax and ending to an amazing Mario & Luigi game. And that is all 27 bosses within Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga Ranked. This was a super fun list to make, and of course, if you guys really love these lists and want to continue with Mario & Luigi's 20th anniversary, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to show me how much you really enjoyed this video. And of course, then the next video will definitely not skip Partners in Time the same way Nintendo did, because I freaking love that game. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.